What starting pitchers are the Cubs targeting? Find out next.
You are Locked On Cubs, your daily Chicago Cubs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Cubs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Alongside Sam Olber, I'm Matt Cozy. Best way to support the show is by listening every day on your preferred audio platform and by liking and commenting below on YouTube. Thank you so much for making us your first listen. Sam and I are lifelong fans, taking our passion into discussion with you on all things Cubs. Today's Thursday episode or Friday Eve episode is presented by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Starting pitching is one of the Cubs' multiple needs this offseason. And on this episode, we're going to attempt to figure out and discuss what the Cubs could do on the mound over the next couple of months. As many as 9 pitching candidates internally right now on the north side. They go a little something like this: Steele, Hendricks, Tyone, Smiley, Assad, Wicks, Wisniewski, Horton, and Brown.
Oof.
But they're going to be looking for some pitching, Sam.
Yeah, and I had a little tweet today or Wednesday, and you and I had a little conversation back and forth. And look, if it were up to me, and this is, I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, and I want everybody to listen because sometimes I say stuff and I don't realize what I'm saying. Like, for example, I tweeted this thing out today and realized that I needed to preface my tweet by saying, assuming the Cubs add X and Y. So before I say anything, look, I want, and I have been preaching on this show for a while, the Cubs need to add more stuff to their staff. They need more bat missers. They need more swing and miss guys. However, I am in a bubble of realism, okay? And I understand, and I know this is going to upset you, and I can already see on your face you're getting ready to move mountains and all that stuff. But it's just not realistic for the Cubs to be in on Ohtani or Soto, and that they're not gonna land the two biggest fish out there with Ohtani and Yamamoto. So I guess what I'm saying is that if the Cubs add Shohei Ohtani or a Juan Soto type, and they re-sign Cody Bellinger, would you?
Well, what's with all the caveats?
Well, I'll tell you. Would you be okay with that, sacrificing that they don't get one of the big fishes in the starting pitching market, but they add a couple guys like a Michael Wacha and a Kyle Gibson? So Wacha, Gibson, Ohtani, Bellinger, is that enough for you? I said it. Wait, let me finish, Matthew. Please, please, please. I've said all offseason long, and by that I mean basically 4 weeks, that the Cubs need to add one of the following: Ohtani, Soto, Alonso, or Yamamoto. To add one pitcher and one hitter, that'd be great in an ideal world. But you're talking about $400-500 million more, and more if it's Ohtani. I just don't know if it's realistic. And the last point I'll make before I send it to you is that as much as I do want a stud arm, when you look at the playoffs nowadays, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, yes, Gallen's a stud, but he wasn't that good in the postseason. Most of these guys, they're only going 5-6 innings anyway. Is depth just as important at this point? That's all I'm saying. I'll leave it up to you.
Well, depth is important, and certainly the bullpen plays a role in that. But I do think the Rangers and Diamondbacks are a fair measuring stick. I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that. If you're placing all these caveats and we're going to move the goalpost every 3 seconds about adding offense,
here we go.
Then I would agree with that. If the Cubs are going to try to outbash everybody, outscore everybody, then fine. If they're going to invest in offense, then I would be okay with what I would call like the tier 3 or tier 4s. But they targeted tier 3 and tier 4 last offseason. No more diet soda. They have a need at the front of the rotation. They need someone who misses bats. They need someone who strikes hitters out, whether that's because of stuff, whether that's because of velo, or whether it's both. But you need someone, and if it's not tier 1, it's got to be tier 2. But just tier 3 and T4 is not going to cut it this time. You already did that. You already have that.
Matt, you're not listening to me. I agree with you. I'm just saying it has to be one or the other. So my point is this. If they add a bunch of bats, would you be okay with tier 3, tier 4? If they don't add a bunch of bats, then they better for darn sure add a tier 1 and a tier 2. I'm just saying, and this is a question you could comment in, and is there a world where they can add both?
Question.
I just don't think so. So the point I'm trying to make is because there's so much buzz with Ohtani, if they go Ohtani and re-sign Bellinger, they're not going to have that many assets left. You're going to have to settle for a tier 3, tier 4.
That's fine.
So that's all I'm saying.
But given that question, okay. But in general,
yes.
In general, Kyle Gibson ain't going to cut it.
No, if they...
Michael Lorenzen ain't going to cut it. Lance Lynn and his... ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, don't go there, dude.
Maeda, Manaya, Miley, Paxton. I have all the names. I've done my homework.
No,
I don't want to see Wade Miley in a Cubs uniform again.
And I agree with you.
Lucas Giolito.
Well, no. I would phrase it like this. If they don't trade for Soto and they don't get Ohtani, they better go get a big-time arm.
Otherwise, it's a failure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Can we say that or no?
I don't think Bellinger and Alonso plus a couple diet sodas would be a failure.
Okay.
But
right.
I also wouldn't be. And you got to get a superstar for this thing to be a smashing success. If you get a superstar on the offensive side, you could sacrifice a little pitching.
I agree with that.
If you can't get a superstar on the offensive side, you better go get Yamamoto.
Correct.
Or Nola or Snell, and to a lesser
Montgomery or Gray or Glasnow.
Yeah, but I don't think Montgomery's a superstar, dude.
Okay,
he's good.
Yeah, well, Gray and Glasnow aren't that either.
No, and Glasnow has superstar ceiling.
Tier 1, tier 2.
Glasnow has superstar ceiling, but injuries.
You can get him by Thanksgiving, Sam, if you want to. 1 year at 25 M's, you can get Glasnow for. What, Wisniewski and Triantos? Brown and Triantos?
Right.
You can get him in the next 7 days if you want.
The question with Glasnow is very simple. Can he throw 170 innings and then a postseason?
Right.
Look, I'll be honest.
I want Corbin Burns.
I have my offseason already picked out.
Really?
I want it to be Ohtani or Soto. I'm fine with either. Re-sign Bellinger.
But that comes with a caveat too, right? You want Soto to be extended.
No, it has to be.
Okay.
One of those two gentlemen, or as you would say, brothers, re-sign Cody Bellinger. Sign Hoskins.
Oh, I like that.
And then go out and get a couple of diet sodas to round out the rotation.
Guy, if you want to get Kyle Gibson and Kenta Maeda at that point, be my guest.
Well, no. I'd still need I'd still need like a Waka.
Okay.
Like a Waka. Listen,
how about Jack Flaherty?
No. I need guys that are going to pitch. My rotation, as weak as this sounds,
all right, let's hear it.
If it's Steele, Hendricks, Waka, Gibson, and Tyone, if that's the rotation with Horton coming up on deck and maybe a Wicks, if that's the rotation and I add Ohtani, re-sign Bellinger, and sign Hoskins, then you can give me that rotation.
That's true.
Because that team's going to score a lot.
See, and I personally don't think there's a reality where you get both Ohtani and Bellinger. I think it'd be Ohtani and Hoskins.
Well, then if it's Ohtani and Hoskins.
Or Ohtani and Alonso.
Well, then they have to add another arm. Oh no. Well, Ohtani and Alonso is different. That's fine. That's fine. No. That's okay. I'm okay with that.
But yeah, I think Bellinger is going to be touching 170 plus.
I just think that I'm just trying to set expectations because I know how our show's going to go, right? They sign Ohtani. We do a huge Ohtani show. Everyone goes,
well, we're going to do 3 shows, man.
Where's the pitching? Where's the pitching? They trade for Soto, extend him. Where's the pitching? Where's the pitching? If they don't get those guys and they go out and get Nola, it's gonna be where's the offense? Where's the bat? So it's like I'm just letting you guys know that there are other teams.
That's a good point.
There are other teams
right.
that want to get these guys and want their services. We're not going to have a team that's perfectly complete and gorgeous. That's not how it works. So you're going to have some holes. And I'm just saying, if you get Ohtani and Bellinger,
wow,
I'm not, and then maybe even another filler, I'm not going to whine that they didn't get Yamamoto.
No, absolutely not.
I'm realistic. That's all I'm saying.
That's totally fair.
Well, where's the bullpen? Where's the defense? Where's this? Where's that? I know.
I think a superstar does change that.
If it were up to me, we'd get Ohtani, Soto, Yamamoto, Nola, Snell.
Just break the bank.
Koufax.
I don't want Snell.
Koufax, Gibson, Musial, Mantle, Mays. We get them all. Yeah, but that's not realistic. So I try on this show to be realistic, and I oftentimes get yelled at for it. Let's move on, dude.
Coming up next,
where's the bullpen? Where's the middle relief?
Speaks for the first time on his podcast.
Who's our 5th starter?
About the Craig Counsell hire. Let's share a little bit about what that brother had to say next. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. It was the news broke early Wednesday morning that quarterback Justin Fields will be returning to the gridiron for the Bears this Sunday, in which the line for the game moved basically none at all, as the Bears are still 9-point underdogs against the Detroit Lions. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn. FanDuel, official partner of the Locked On Podcast Network. Ian Happ, Cubs Gold Glove left fielder, Sam, 2-time winner, made comments on his podcast, The Compound. It was an episode released on Wednesday. He said the managerial move was out of the blue, and he's never been more shocked by news more in his career. Said he had a ton of respect for Counsell. He's impressed the way he manages the bullpen and the moves he makes, and he's excited to get going with him. He also has spoken with Counsell already on the phone and compared the move from Ross to Counsell, saying the Cubs aren't afraid to change managers, and compared it to the Renteria Madden situation. Interesting to get some comments from Happ. Nico Horner was on 670 The Score on Tuesday as well and said he's really excited. And so we're starting to hear from players. And while that initial shock, like the rest of the world, is in place, it seems clear to me that at the end of the day, the players get it and they're excited to be managed by this new person.
Yeah, and I don't really care what the players have to say. Like,
wow.
I mean, in all seriousness, their job's to play. It's not like they hired like if Counsell had like a bad rap or something, it would be one thing. Like, this is everyone knows. Nobody knows better than Ian Happ what type of manager Craig Counsell is. He's played probably 60 games against them at this point, or something like that. So, Ian Happ's job is to do what Craig Counsell tells him to do. If that's hit leadoff. His job is to get more power in his game, to be a more consistent clutch hitter and perform. Whether he likes the hire or not, that's he makes $20 million a year. The hire's fine. I'm glad that I'm glad that he's in support of it. And if he wasn't, fine. Horner, the one thing about the Cubs is that and obviously I don't know these guys personally, but from afar, they all seem like great guys. Like, Ian Happ seems like a guy I would have a
Yeah, he's
drink
very
with.
chill.
Nico Horner seems like just a regular guy. I mean, I follow Nico Horner on Instagram. If I didn't know who he was, I'd be like, that's just one of my friends. Like, he just seems like a
Right.
regular guy.
Steele.
Swanson, Steele, Gomes. These guys are all seem like
Talkman.
just good regular dudes that if you or I were hanging out, we saw them and we said they had a show, they'd be like, oh, that's cool, man. They're cool guys. They're not going to be a problem. And that's one of the things I never understood with Ross. Like, he has a good culture. It's an easy group to have a good culture with. They're not bad guys. So
that's true.
I think, it's great. Congrats to Happ on having support for the decision. And, he could cash his checks. I'd like to see him figure out a way to hit more home runs to the opposite field. He used to be the best at that from lefty. I'd like him to play pepper with that left center field basket all season long in 2024. That home run number should be in the upper 20s to low 30s. And that's what he should be focusing on this offseason. Not his podcast, not coffee. I want to see him hit the ball over the fence a lot. I mean, I'm half kidding. It's part of the bit, but seriously.
Yeah, it's part of the program. We entertain people. So.
And Nico Horner, I'd like to see him take a couple more walks and maybe find the seats a little bit more himself. I'd like to see him either, like I said on the show, either hit 15 home runs or hit 300. Can't do neither of them.
Right. No, and those are all good qualifiers, all very fair qualifiers. And also in Counsell news on Wednesday, Sam, on the heels of Pat Murphy succeeding his former player at Notre Dame, Pat Murphy, the bench coach for Counsell with the Brewers, has been named Brewers manager.
Yep.
And on the heels of that, 0 of the Brewers coaching staff is going to head down to Wrigley Field with the Cubs. So we'll see if Hottovy and Kelly and Napoli and Green and the rest of the staff, who stays and who goes. Hopefully we get that before the end of the month.
Yeah, and we heard Counsell in his presser say he's going to take his time with that stuff.
Take his time, right.
How many times did Counsell in his press conference use the phrase "get it right"? Like,
yeah, it's a methodical man.
I'm gonna take my time because it's really important to get it right. And then it really, one of my favorite parts of it is when he was talking to Hoyer and he's like, we've got some decisions to make. And, what you do is you get little decisions right over and over again. You stack them. You want to know what another word for that is?
Yeah.
You want to know what another word for that is? Say it with me at home. 3, 2, 1. Margins. You win on the margins. Hey, you see that guy off waivers? Let's claim that guy off waivers. I see something with his cutter that we could do really well, and I think we could turn him into a solid 7th inning guy with a lead. Done.
That'd be huge.
Little things like that.
So you believe, like I do, that Counsell's going to have a say in personnel decisions?
There is momentum happening here.
Especially the lower personnel decisions.
Okay.
Counsell's going to have a say in the personnel decisions where the common fan goes, look at this casual. Who cares? And that guy's going to be getting base hits in October for you. Those type of things. I don't think Counsell's going to have much say, like, I mean, it's obvious, those type of moves. But the ones where Jen will say, hey, there's a third baseman in Oakland that we really like. Think we can come off the bench. Oh, yeah. Little stuff like that. That's where Counsell's going to have his fingerprints all over this campaign.
Well, I'm excited for the Cubs to finally make some transactions. I shouldn't say finally. We're just getting going with that season. But
it's not even Thanksgiving.
When they make small moves like that this winter, we're going to dig into those because I think that's a clue that Counsell had a say.
I would say almost I'll be overreacting to them.
That's fine. Part of the fun of the offseason.
And the Illini play Iowa this Saturday at Kinnick Stadium.
And I believe you said before recording Iowa's a field goal favorite, 3 points.
Last time I checked, I believe so, which seems a little bit low.
Well, Iowa's offense is the most anemic in the country, and Cooper DeJean is out for the year, the All-American cornerback. So,
all right, let's talk about the pitch clock.
Absolutely. So the pitch clock, we talk about some unnecessary proposed changes. Coming up next. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today covers the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Search Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever National Sports 24/7 streaming channel. MLB is proposing a change to the pitch clock rules. It was reported on Wednesday that the time with the bases empty would remain at 15 seconds moving forward, while the time with bases occupied would decrease from 20 seconds to 18, which, Sam, seems unnecessary.
Yeah, and I don't really care about that. So I'm going to read a tweet. That I just want to talk about this. This is if this doesn't if this doesn't summarize where we're at as a fan base. This is from Michael Cerami from Bleacher Nation. They do a nice job over there.
When was this?
This was 8 minutes ago. Just popped up on my screen.
Oh, is this breaking news?
No, it's not breaking news.
Dang
at all.
it!
But I just think that this is exactly kind of what I've been trying to say for 4 weeks. The Cubs farm system
Oh my gosh,
is so incredibly stacked right now. ...
Right.
Right when they get the best manager in baseball. ... Right when they need to start selling free agents on the future. ... Right before a all caps heavy expected trade season. Period. Awesome. Period. If that doesn't summarize everything, this organization, as the great Craig Counsell said, is in the healthiest position it could be. It's got assets on the farm. It's got trade assets. It's got money. It's got the right manager. The time is now.
Wow, that's fantastic.
So who cares that they, well, I don't know. Great. So they have less time with the bases. You know what I mean? I don't care, dude.
All right. Well, I appreciate you reading that. Shout out to Michael Cerami.
And I just retweeted it.
And the fine folks over there at Bleacher Nation. I've been reading them for years. And I would like to have Brett or Michael on perhaps on this program.
I would love to. I'd love to have them on. Open invitation's always open.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be a fan right now. I think about the Cubs throughout the day frequently.
And are you
can you blame me?
And I don't mean to put you on the spot at
Good
all.
business
here.
as well.
Are you going to be on Friday's show?
I would like to be, yeah.
Or is that TBD? Okay, because
I would like to be.
Because people,
I'd like to talk about the non-tender candidates: Wisdom, Madrigal, Hoyer, Roberts.
Wait, who?
Cody Hoyer, Ethan Roberts.
Oh! I forgot about him.
Yeah.
How is he? Is he healthy or no? He's still hurt, isn't he? Yeah, he threw out his elbow this year.
So some of the arbitration dudes.
Well, you love that stuff.
That could just be cut.
You're an expert at that.
I think they should keep Wisdom, but I think he might be cut.
Ooh. Well, let me
perhaps a small trade, or we could get back to fantasy baseball and talk about Corbin Burns. Is he a Cubs trade target?
Well, no. Let me marinate. Let
There
that
is
marinate.
momentum happening here.
Let that marinate for 24 hours on the Wisdom thing. I mean, I'm kind of done with Wisdom.
Okay. Yeah. Well, he would be a bench bat.
Yeah, and you know what?
Is he a power threat off the bench? He's only making $800K.
No, and to be fair, I'd actually like to see him with Counsell because I think he'd be used very correctly.
Right, and I don't really have a strong conviction about that, but sure. And so, that's basically the show.
And I'm sorry, I was a little too goofy today.
Thank you so much. I don't apologize. Thank you so much for checking out this edition of Locked On Cubs.
Boy, college basketball is boring, huh?
You give us 20 to 30.
Illinois looked really bad.
You give us 20 to 30 minutes.
No offense.
We'll give you all things Cubs with a laugh or two along the way. Be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube and smash the like button for the algorithm as we make the push to 7,000 subs. Also, shout out to the audio peeps where we are in your ears: Apple, Spotify, SiriusXM, and more. He's Sam Olber. I'm Matt Cozy. This is Locked On Cubs.